everybody. Thanks for joining Jenkins Advocacy and Outreach SIG. Today is January 9th. Happy New Year. On the agenda, I have GSOC, a lot of event stuff, FOSDEM, Contributor Summit, Scale, our contributor stories, some CDF updates, and Chris, thanks for adding strengthen community efforts. Anything else that we should add?
Just on the 2024 recap post, Alyssa,
Yep.
speaking with Mark, the sponsors image just needs to go through board approval. So that won't be published until they've all agreed that the sponsor image is okay. The point of discussion would be whether the sponsors are in the correct tiers or not. So that's something that Mark plans on discussing with the board and will be part of the next governance board meeting on Monday.
Okay. Thanks, Kevin. All right, so GSOC, as of this morning, it doesn't look like they have updated the GSOC 2025 or their GSOC webpage. So I checked this morning, still 2024 information. So at this time, Bruno and we are still planning to attend their GSOC meetup that's taking place in Brussels on February 1st. That's Saturday evening. So hopefully when if there's no new information at that time, hopefully we can get some information from there. We made some good progress with regards to mentor recruitments. Thank you to all the lead mentors for their involvement in the process. It's looking good there. And at a high level deliverable for GSOC 2025 once the program is announced. So I have on my plate to submit the mentoring org application. And then project ideas overview via online meetup, and that is on for potential mentees, and that's going to be delivered by us co-mentors and org admins. Is there anything else that I should add to this, or Chris or Bruno, that you'd like to add?
Yeah, we have 10 potential mentors so far.
For 4 projects, I can't remember. How many projects do we have? Yeah.
I have not counted, but I think that I did see some that was under the for discussion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
Yeah. Cool. FOSDEM 2025, that is where I think most of my time and Bruno's time is at the moment. So we are in location K, level 2, so that's second floor, same building as we've always been in the past. So FOSDEM, sorry, going back, it takes place at Brussels in Belgium the weekend of February 1st and 2nd. So I've added the planning document there. If anyone is planning to attend, please read the document before you go. Sign up to staff the booth if possible. It's going to be a very tight space, we know that, but we'll appreciate any support we can get. We will be selling Jenkins t-shirts and socks, and those were shipped to Mark Waite's house by CDF. And then we also have 3D butlers that was created by Adrian, and we're going to be selling those items, and 100% of the proceeds goes to the Jenkins project. Also, I will have lots of stickers for us there as usual. The new two illustrations that we're gonna go with are the Bruce Lee and the Avatar, The Last Airbender images. So I wanted to thank everybody who helped with that selection process. So the next step is I have some images that I'm able to share with you today. So I'm going to switch my screen. So basically, we had, I think if you can recall, the original design was with, just Bruce Lee and the Avatar. I wanted the artist to give it more umph, if you will, to the image. So I did some research, thought that, things like the continuous, the infinity loop would apply to Jenkins. So with that in mind, what we did was with the avatar image, here you'll see that in the continuous loop, right? And you got the security shield, you got Java, and this is supposed to be GitHub, but I guess it looks like the lemur. But so I'm going to show you two images and you can let me, and then I'll stop and I'd love to hear your feedback. Okay, so this is one design of the avatar. Here's the other. So thoughts. So we have to choose one. And this is a time that we can still give them input, what changes we want out of these. For me personally, I can start and I like this image just because, there's the different color that tells me like perhaps the different parts of that infinity loop, right?
Yeah,
Um,
it's more subtle, you
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of cool because you have the four elements: the fire, the ground, the air, the water, but at the same time, the CI/CD movement. That's
Mm,
that was a very good idea to me, Lisa. Well done.
thank you. So do you feel that do we need to add any of these to represent, what is part of that infinity loop? So it covers, so Jenkins covers security, right? So you got Java, we've, GitHub. Is that necessary?
I think it lowers the beauty of the design if you would have to add specifically the shield and so on. So
Okay.
I'd better let people imagine what it could be for, and then at the booth, letting them
Mm,
know what you had in mind and what all these four elements represents. I think it's more subtle. It
mm,
could be understood at different levels. So I love it the way it is, but it's just my feedback.
got it.
I agree with
Chris?
Bruno in
Uh,
the, oh, sorry, go
no,
ahead.
no, go ahead, Kevin. Go ahead.
No,
Sorry.
I agree with Bruno. I think it's a nice way to be a conversation starter since
Mm-hmm.
it's not as obvious and it's not labeled, so it's not beating them over the head. So it's a lot better of an image, I think, because of the differentiation between all the pieces. And then we have the opportunity when someone asks, oh, is this just like what's like a lot of people are going to know what it is off the bat, but
Mm,
to be able to say, oh, in addition to that, it's also representative of this. Like that just feeds into the conversation better and opens it up as opposed to just having it be right there. It's kind of like, okay, I get it, done. And like that leaves the door open for them to walk away from it in that sense. So
yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, I think the logos are a distraction.
Okay. Okay. All right. So we shall go with this image.
Yes, please.
Awesome. So the next image is Bruce Lee.
Ah.
So
Yeah.
the same idea, right? It's the same idea, that same infinity loop. That's the representation of that dragon. Um, for me, like it's the dragon's head, it's smoke coming out of its mouth. That represent to me is the output of that loop. So I don't know what is the difference between version 1 and version 2, to be honest. It's like if I look really closely, he seemed darker in version 2. But I can't figure out what is the difference. But version 1, 2, and 3, what is your preference? Do we need to make changes to any of these? Improvement? Welcome.
I would prefer the version 3, sorry. But there is something that bothers me in that somehow the dragon seems to go through Bruce Lee's chest. And,
Ah,
at the center of the image, it's not clear if it's going. Yeah, for me, maybe the dragon and Bruce Lee are just one thing, or one thing is incorporated in the other. But apart from that, I prefer the third one.
okay. That's a +1 for me. So yeah, I like the third one as well. So Kevin?
Yeah, I like the third one too. I kind of like the fact that it's like going through them and like that. It kind of shows the power is within Jenkins and coming through Jenkins as opposed to outside of it, around it. That's maybe me looking at it too much like an art piece and not a logo. But I mean, that also kind of signifies more like the spirit of Bruce Lee in terms of like all that. So yeah, and I like 3 more because the front legs are a little awkward
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
design. So I think taking them out of that makes it a little bit cleaner on that sense. You know, you don't lose out from knowing it's a dragon without having
Yeah.
that.
yeah.
So
So
The legs look
remove.
like a dead chicken. So
Okay, so remove
they
the leg.
oh no,
Okay.
no, I
No,
think it's
Or
fine the way it is.
oh,
I was saying
okay.
volume 1 and volume 2 with the legs
yeah,
being in front, it just kind of like takes away from it a little bit and it
distracting.
Got it.
Yeah,
but
Okay,
the legs on the back side are fine.
yeah.
got it.
I'll
I sorry, go ahead, Chris.
vote for 3 too, because I like the shape more.
Agree.
Cool.
So that's 4 out of 4. So I really like all of like so Kevin's analysis of the image. I really like that because like if you go to, and Bruno, you probably already know this, like there's so many museums like in Paris. So the good artists are the ones that you gotta you get so much out of that image, out of that one image. And that's, for me, that's what a good artist does to the person that views it. So like if you go into a museum, what I do when I was in Japan is like I look at a piece of art up close. I walked away. I went back in for it. And, so you see different things. You get different things out of it. And I think that's what a good artist gives its audience. So thank you, Kevin, for that analysis. I like that. So number 3 it is. The question I want to ask, is he too dark? Is this going to cause any stir?
Dark.
No,
Yeah.
not too dark.
No? Okay.
I
Because
don't
yeah, Kevin?
Oh no, I don't think there's a problem with that. I think it's just looking at 1 and 2 and 3, like comparatively, you can see the difference, but I don't think in a vacuum that would be an issue.
Okay. Okay, because that's such a sensitive subject here in the States. Do you get that at all, Kevin? Because it's like,
Yeah,
I'm very aware of how sensitive a topic that is here in the US for sure.
yeah.
But it's, I think it is I think it's more than okay. It doesn't so I will just say I don't think it looks like it's whitewashing Bruce or anything like that in that sense or like doing anything that would be considered offensive from
Mhm.
my perspective, but I'm a white guy in the United States, so that isn't necessarily the most valid opinion on that. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bruno and Chris,
I'm also a white in his 50s guy in Europe, so I'm not qualified to answer. But that even didn't cross my mind.
uh,
Look fine. It's been a while since I last watched Bruce Lee movie, so I just can't remember his skin tone. But
mm,
looks okay to me.
I thought
okay.
I think in real life, Bruce Lee looks like more pale, but I think it is
Yeah.
okay too. Not too dark. Not like a black face. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And so if somebody was to come by our booth, pick up this sticker, would they know that this is Bruce Lee, or do we need to, is,
I don't know, as I'm too old, of course, it was part of my childhood. But for younger people, Kevin says yes. I don't know. I'm that old.
I mean, it's either Bruce Lee or a Mortal Kombat reference, which is based on Bruce Lee. So I don't think there's that much of a disconnect at that point. Um,
okay.
and even then, like I'm in the space of video games and stuff like that, so I understand that recognition. But I feel like Bruce Lee is such a weirdly iconic character and person and like image throughout media in general that it's not going to be lost on anyone who it is or what's going on.
Okay. Cool. Thank you so much. That's really helpful. All right. So we shall go with Bruce Lee version 3 and this image as is. No changes needed. Yeah, I thought they did a really great job with these. So thank you. So contributor summit planning is in progress. We are at, I think we're at room capacity, which is about 24 people. We're going to be at Beta Co-work space. That is the same location as we were in last year. So I wanted to thank Beta Co-work for that. That's really generous of them. Bruno, I know you're working on the agenda. Do you want to add anything here?
If ever you have some ideas you'd like to be discussed, please go ahead and mark them down in the community discourse. Subject, I've also put a link in that discussion, a link to the slide deck that officers and board members are expected to fill in. But it's also a draft, so the layout may change. But yeah, go ahead. Feel free to participate in this agenda and in the deck that will be displayed during the summit.
Great.
And by
Thanks.
the way, the day after will be at FOSDEM, of course. We talked about that. And I was thinking of presenting a rolling deck based on Kevin's work about the 2024 recap.
Yeah.
So I'll create a draft, and if anybody wants to participate and fill some things that would be displayed on the Jenkins booth, once again, feel free to participate.
Will you be bringing your mini gen this year, Bruno?
Until this morning, I would have answered no, because people want to see some new things. But then I had a discussion with Mark earlier today who said, no, if you think people remember what you brought last year, apart from the Jenkins members, no. So you will bring back Minigen or Ronder Netties from last year, and that should be okay. Because yes, I had high hopes of bringing something new and mesmerizing, but that won't happen. So yes, I'll bring back Minigen.
Cool. That was a conversation starter as well. So
but now it's all deja vu. So we'll see.
I think it's all good. So Scale, Southern California Linux Expo, that right after that, I will be preparing for a Scale. Right after FOSDEM, I will be preparing for a Scale. So that is on March 6th. Mark and I and Basil will be in attendance. As usual, we got a 10 by 10 booth. It's a complimentary booth by the organizers. So another very generous gesture from them. Contributor stories. Kevin, I am not getting much bites from the alumni stories. I think the holidays give people amnesia. So I was hoping before the holidays, I reached out to folks. There were certain folks that, yeah, I'd love to do that. And then they disappeared. So I have to chase this up again. Just to let you know.
Yeah,
But I
no
think
worries.
you have one story by Kosuke at the
Yeah.
moment.
I have Kosike's right now that I'm starting to work on. It's going to be a good amount of content. He had provided a written response as well as doing the interview. So we have a
Nice.
lot to work with. He was able to expand on a lot of the shorter answers that he gave in the written response. So we have the background and stories and stuff, which is going to be really, really exciting. I'm looking forward to publishing that. But and then one thing that I'm gonna bring up in Doc's office hours is the cadence of the contributor spotlight publications, since we're not really in a place where we have a lot in the pipeline or in the backlog.
Yeah.
Would it be okay to maybe change this to once a month instead of once every couple weeks? And I figure that'll give us a little bit more time to find those people for their spotlight responses and give some leeway with that.
Yeah. I +1 for me. So once a month sounds great to me.
Okay.
I will also reach out to Jim Klimoff. So he chimed in on Gitter earlier this week saying, "Hey, I'd like to come to the contributor summit." So I looked him up. I'm like, this name sounds really familiar. I looked him up, and yes, he's very familiar. He's a very familiar face who's been around the project, well, been as a user for the longest time. So pretty much most of the time when we go to Europe for our Jenkins user conference, we see him there. So he is a familiar face. So I will reach out to him and get a story from him too.
And then I have a few other names, Alyssa, to give. They may not all align with the historic one that we're currently working with, but
Yeah.
I've got a few names that I can share with you after the meeting to just follow up with or check in on.
Okay, cool. And then there were a few names on that alumni list that I don't have their, well, I do have their email address, but I got an error message back. So I have to do some digging and reaching out to other folks or find different ways to reach out to them.
Yeah.
Cool. So CDF, I went to their meetup or their outreach meeting yesterday, and it's once a month at this moment. So they are spinning up a new cybersecurity SIG, and that is ran by Tracy, who is, I think she heads up Deploy Hub. So she's really excited about a participant the person, actually, it is she, Kate, is a retired cybersecurity IBMer, been with the company for a really long time with some really impressive background. And so believe she did a presentation, if I'm not mistaken, on it in their first SIG. But they are looking for anybody to be interested in joining and helping out. Want to join the cybersecurity SIG, they would much appreciate welcoming new members. And then there's a lot of events that they announced as well. So an upcoming one is the one in Denver. The CFP will close on February 16th. And then for Bruno, I know that they have one that is going to be in August. It's in Amsterdam.
Oh, cool.
And
Not far from home.
oh, nice.
341 kilometers approximately. So close to home.
Oh, cool. So yeah, so I don't think they have the CFP out for that, but just keep that in mind that it's they've set up something. They've secured a space there.
Yeah, and of course, Mark knows about Silicon in Denver because I think Mark lives in Colorado next to Denver.
Yeah, I think he's attending that one. He's
Okay.
attending the Denver one. All right. So Chris, strengthen community efforts update.
Yep, so I submitted a pull request to the plugin site repo, but it's still under review, so no news yet. After this is done, I'll move on to another one in the list.
Okay.
I think
Okay,
we
so
wait total, so it is one of them and 3 more.
okay. Cool. So you need us to review it and approve it. You already got Bruno, and you're so on top of it.
Yeah, and Binek has been asking quite a few changes, I think.
I think it's okay now. It's been deployed today. Maybe 15.
Oh, cool.
Like, yeah, it's like if you scroll down to the deploy button, you can see it in action. All the way down. Yeah.
So it's at the bottom, I guess.
Yeah, here.
Yeah.
Cool. Yay.
Cool.
Thanks, Chris. Looks good.
Welcome.
Thanks. We're making lots of progress.
Hmm.
Okay, anything else to add on the 24 recap, Kevin? Or I think you gave us a lot of information earlier, but
Yeah, it's ready to go. I just added in some information about the cost saving measures that the infra team's been doing this year. So new stuff there, but right now it's just kind of waiting for governance board approval on the sponsors. Once we have that, it'll be published. And then something else that came up during this process, I was going to add the DevOps dozen stuff in, but I hadn't realized we added it into the 2023 recap.
Yeah.
But that's coming up in a couple weeks. They're making the announcement next week, actually. So
right.
something to look forward to. Maybe if it happens before it gets published, we can add that in.
Sounds good. Yeah, it's the 14th is when they'll announce it.
Right.
Roxanne from CDF also said that, once we have the recap up, she would be more than happy to give it some social media love.
Oh, sweet. Awesome. That's great to hear.
Cool.
Thanks.
Okay, good meeting for the first new year. Thank you, everybody. So that is it on the agenda. So unless anybody has anything else. Cool. All right. Enjoy your day, the rest of your day, and have a happy and healthy 2025. Thanks for all your help.
Thank you, Alyssa. You too.
Thank you,
Take
Alyssa.
care. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.